from a longer project called Diseases, Disorders, Breaks. One, let no man imagine that when he has won Fu Manchu, he has won Fu Manchu's heart. Two, the heart of Fu Manchu is hard to read, especially if it is a palimpsest. Indeed, the heart of Fu Manchu is illegible even to its owner. Nevertheless, that the woman should not know the heart of Fu Manchu, as so often happens, terrifies the woman as much as it exasperates the heart of Fu Manchu. Three, that must be a curious love that causes the heart of Fu Manchu to hesitate. Four, many a man has debated for months whether to propose or not, and sometimes a woman will accept on a Friday the man that she refused point blank of a Tuesday. But perhaps where the heart of Fu Manchu hesitates, it is not so much a case of love as a case of convenience. For an overwhelming love leaves the heart of Fu Manchu bereft of either doubt or debate. 5. But alas, the heart of Fu Manchu seems to be an anatomical engine of such intricate and delicate mechanism that its workings are uncontrollable even by its owner. 6. Is the heart of Fu Manchu as hard a thing to manufacture in the world of life as is an immobile thing in the world of matter? Matter, so they say, is immobile only at absolute zero, when bereft of even molecular motion, a thing impossible to produce, and which to produce would require incalculable pressure and almost incalculable toll. Is there no chemical formula for fixing the heart of Fu Manchu?
I once knew a girl who kept breaking bones. I once knew a girl who dreamed of breaking every bone in her body. I knew a girl who learned the names of each bone in her foot so she could break them one by one. I knew a girl who learned the names of the bones in her wrist, in her hand, in her arms, in her legs. I knew a girl who broke every bone in her body over a period of years. This is not possible, you say. She would die. She did not die. I knew a girl who I never knew without a cast on her body. Her bones were so small and so light. Everything about her seemed fragile. When we kissed, I found my tongue drawn to her teeth, testing their thickness. When we fucked, I pictured her bones snapping beneath her skin. We lived far away from each other and were happy for a time. We sent each other packages. I sent her things I found, masks, beads, cuttings from magazines. She sent me pictures of herself in casts and tapes containing coded instructions. I had dreamed of us hardening and taking our places among the ossified oaks. She dreamed of hospitals, of people worrying over her. She wrote me long letters in code. If I held the letters up to certain kinds of light, the correct words would become illuminated. Dear one, I wanted to speak to you earlier about the machines that have begun filling up my body. Do not be alarmed. They are the correct machines. They pump my heart. They keep my brain at the appropriate temperature. They are responsible for the flexing and unflexing of muscles, for the contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm. Previously, I suspected that the doctors placed them in my body whenever I arrived unconscious at the hospital. Now I know that this is not the case. The last time I was brought to the hospital, I pretended, you see. I've gotten quite good at feigning unconsciousness. I didn't even gasp when they sliced open my leg. You will say that they nonetheless knew, that they understood I was testing them, that this time they held back. I don't think so. I have other theories now about the origins of the machine.
I call upon the Esperantist rituals. They trade magazines and cheap glass beads in the universal commerce. The murder group hires them to pass messages from one nation to another. The Esperantist caverns stretch beneath the oceans, connect together all major cities and centers of trade. This is the universal commerce. Messages are transmitted through codes of beads, one bead per phoneme. In the dark, the beads are silent. The Esperantists must hold them for light to make out their color. Beads of bone make do for diacritics, polished white for circumflex, yellow or brown for bread. Once a year, new members of the Esperantists are smuggled underground, heads footed in burlap, mouths ritualistically sewn shut. The sutures remain for 3 to 5 weeks before decaying and falling away. During this time, the new Esperantists communicate in hums and sealed-lip drones. Drones work small straws between the sutures at feeding times, through which the new Esperantist pulls up a thick paste of ground insects and nuts. After the first week, the burlap is removed from his eyes, and the new Esperantist may observe the universal commerce. His eyes adjust quickly to the darkness. Once the face is uncovered, the larger and more dominant Esperantists violently assert their rights to the new members. At this stage, the new Esperantists are not considered capable of asserting themselves as full sexual partners. Among the Esperantists, fellatio is regarded as the only mature sexual act, with the receiving or oral partner perceived within the tribe as dominant. Once one has learned sufficient vocabulary to express oneself, it is easier to think clearly in Esperanto than in English. The Esperantists study the laws of the cannibals. They strip the flesh from the hands and feet of enemies captured in combat and fry it on hot rocks, or else boil it in their soup. They crop the ears of enemies serving within their state and hold the ears on skewers over their cooking fires. Chiefs or enemies who they believe to be especially powerful are beheaded, and the flesh of the head itself is consumed. This is the universal commerce. This is the universal commerce. 7. There seems to be something cosmic, something transcending about the bounds of the visible and tangible universe in the desires and cravings of the heart of Fu Manchu. Its owner is a little bigger than a beetle or an ant, and the habitat of that owner is a speck in space, a pygmy in comparison with Ceres or Arcturus, and invisible to the ultra-telescopic confines of vision. What is it that makes the desires and cravings of the heart of Fu Manchu more important, more importunate to its owner than the measuring of the vastness of space? Why is it that the longings, the hopes, the disappointments, the desperate aspirations, and the passionate loves of the heart of Fu Manchu cause it to possess such pre-potent emotions, such forms of form? It is quite possible to conceive of a universal love in which all the claims of the heart of Fu Manchu shall be eternally and infinitely satisfied. 9. There is a vacuum in the heart of Fu Manchu, and the heart of Fu Manchu abhors it as much as it. 10. The heart of Fu Manchu eats out itself, causes its own emptiness, creates its own void.